All right, this video, the focal point of this video is this woman's description of how these agent provocateurs work against the target to harass, terrorize, and to just basically systematically destroy the target's life. I don't agree with wearing the mask. I don't wear the mask at all. But I don't hate people that do wear the mask. Everyone, I believe, has a choice, to make their own decisions, what they want to put on their face and what they don't want to put on their face. But I just thought it was interesting that she's getting harassed for actually wearing the mask, where my experience has been I get harassed, for not wearing the mask. And I just thought that was odd. But yeah, the focal point again is just the tactics that these people will use to target a person that does not conform or go along with these flying monkeys agendas and whatnot. So I'm just gonna play the video here.
Our next guest, Jennifer Jenkins, has now had the experience of going viral in the last 24 hours. When I saw the video of Jennifer Jenkins speaking at a school board meeting in Florida, I was in awe of her courage and her calm. Because Jennifer Jenkins thinks that masks are a good way to limit the spread of COVID-19 in public schools. Jennifer Jenkins and her family, her daughter, have been targeted for what is nothing less than public torture by Florida's anti-mask fanatics. In Florida, it is the Department of Children and Families that investigates child abuse, the DCF. No one knew that the DCF was going to come up at a public meeting of the school board in Brevard County, Florida, southeast of Orlando. The school board discussed whether it would be possible to allow homecoming dances this year. The homecoming dances have been postponed indefinitely because of COVID-19. But when the agenda turned to a resolution about threats against school board members, Jennifer Jenkins found herself talking about something she never wanted to talk about publicly.
In spite of what people believe, I am not opposed to people practicing their First Amendment rights, even when it's outside of my home on a public property. I'm not. I think it's a silly method. I think it's ineffective. It doesn't move me or motivate me in any way, but I'm not opposed to it. What I reject is this effort to create fear and division in the community that leads to credible threats of violence against me and my family. And there's a lot of things that I haven't shared with all of you up here. I've tried not to talk about this stuff publicly. I don't reject people coming here and speaking their voice. They do it all the time. We don't stop them from doing that. I don't reject them standing outside my home. I reject them following me around in a car, following my car around. I reject them saying that they're coming for me, that I need to beg for mercy. I reject that when they are using their First Amendment rights on public property, they're also going behind my home and brandishing their weapons to my neighbors, that they're making false DCF claims against me to my daughter, that I have to take a DCF investigator to her play date to go underneath her clothing and check for burn marks. That's what I'm against, which is a credible threat and calculated.
Joining us now is Jennifer Jenkins, a member of the Brevard County, Florida School Board. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I am very, very sorry for what you have endured and for what you're here to tell us about tonight. How long has this kind of harassment and public torture been going on?
Thank you so much for having me, first and foremost. To be honest with you, this is something that started within Brevard County back in April for me. It started with a minority group of individuals who are part of an organization that was founded by my Republican opponent, who have decided that their voices are going to be used to terrorize me. And, the majority of people support me and they reach out to me and they tell me that they're there for me and they support the things that I stand for. But unfortunately, it doesn't just take, it just takes one person to terrorize you. And when there's no consequences for it, it becomes the norm and it becomes acceptable. And to be perfectly honest with you, I feel like this is the new pandemic here in the state of Florida for us to focus on. It's going across the nation as well. Our school board members and our educators are being attacked and threatened for doing what they were elected to do, what I was elected to do, to keep our students and our staff safe, and what educators were hired to do to protect our children.
You're in a state where 60% support what you're doing, 60% support requiring students, teachers, and staff to wear masks in school. But you're in a Republican area where that polling might be very different. You left out a lot of details of what's happened to you that I know about because of conversations that we've had with you today, including some of the vandalism that occurs at your home. They've attacked your plants and your trees, and it's a very active kind of thing. It took the police an hour and 40 minutes to come to your home one time while one of these things was going on. What is it like to be in your home with your daughter watching that stuff?
It's really difficult. The last protest where they came outside of my home, again, I'm not against people using their First Amendment rights. They're on public property. That's okay. But I'm against them terrorizing my family. There was 25 individuals standing outside my home in a small beach town in Florida. They were there for hours. Police presence didn't come right away. It started to get dark out. It was time for me to put my daughter to bed. And as I'm sitting trying to read her story, these individuals are walking right by her bedroom, saying vile things. And as I followed them around the corner to where their cars were parked into a parking lot right behind my home, police presence wasn't following them until I was there. They got in my face, they coughed in my face, telling me they were going to give me COVID. They swung flags in my face, nearly missing me by a couple of inches. They said horrible, disgusting things to my neighbors. And I eventually went back inside, but they brandished their weapons in the parking lot in front of my neighbors. And my daughter to this day, at least twice a week, says to me when she's going to bed, "Mommy, are those mean people going to be outside again?" So it's been really difficult. And yeah, they did. They vandalized my property. They rode obscenities in my grass with weed killer. They cut down some of my plants. They, as you had mentioned, they did the DCF claim, which was really difficult for me. I had to take the DCF investigator to a play date of somebody who I am just an acquaintance of. I don't even know very well. So here I am, a school board member, walking back to a play date I had just dropped her off to with a DCF investigator with no announcement for them to look underneath her clothes to see if she has burns. It's a really uncomfortable position to be in. And unfortunately, even though the police department is doing their best to have subpoenas sent to the state level to figure out who made that unfounded claim, there's only so far they can go. And so currently I still have a document that says I had an unfounded DCF claim against me. It's not something that's going to go away.
What did you tell your daughter about that incident with the DCF during that play date?
You know, the DCF investigator was fantastic. And so she had no idea what was going on. And I really appreciated that person understanding that this was very likely an unfounded claim. The police department came with her. They let her know what has been going on with me and within the community. And so she handled it really, really well, like a pro. And I was really happy that she was there.
Why did you want to become a member of the school board? And do you want to continue as a member of the school board?
I ran as a member to become a member of the school board because I'm an educator. My husband's an educator, and my daughter just turned 5 years old. She just entered kindergarten. And so I am invested in public education professionally and personally. And I truly cared. I cared about making a difference for our educators. You know, we've had some serious fights for significant wage increases here in Brevard County and in Florida overall. That was one of my passions. And the equity across my district. I really cared about our students, making sure that they all have equal opportunities to the same academic outcomes and success. Unfortunately, COVID got in the way in the middle of my campaign, and that really became the focus of the conversation. But I was really grateful to be there because the person I was running against was completely against every mitigation strategy. And ultimately, that is why I ended up winning my election. And I'm really excited and proud to be on this board and proud to continue to stand up for the safety and health of our students and staff.
I understand that, but have you, at what point do you run into a kind of torture for doing this job that would make you say to yourself and your family, I cannot continue to do this?
I would be lying to you if I didn't say I have had some really, really dark moments. This has been so difficult for me and my family and the people who care about us and love us. It has been horrible. But I have done my best to not put that out in the public. I wanted people to know that I am strong, I am here for them, and I will continue to fight for them, and I will never give up on that. But I also didn't want the people to know who were doing this to me that it did affect me, because it will never break me. And I will never, ever step back on the promise that I made to the residents of Brevard County. I'm going to be there. I'm going to fulfill my term. And if the timing is right and everything is right,